Hello there guys, and welcome back to a brand new Star Wars Hunters update concept. Despite the fact that my episode 5 update concept came out after the news of the delay, this is the first one I'm actually making since we got that news. Even though global release is so far away, I'm still going to make these videos pretty much weekly, as there's honestly so much for me to do with the other films and TV shows, and with the amount of Star Wars content that we're getting in the future, I think it would be best to try and get through as much as I can. So today I'm going to continue with the update concept for episode 6, Return of the Jedi. As always, I'll begin with the maps I'd like to see. I feel like this film is definitely the hardest one for me to do for maps, considering the game already has Tatooine and Endor quite a few times. So you almost don't want to add any more, so that they can move on to other planets. But there are definitely a few from episode 6 that I'd like to see. Firstly, I think it would be cool to have some kind of Jabba's Palace inspired map, where under the floor there could be a rancor that eats you if you fall down into the trap. I think this would work best for control personally, as the middle could be Jabba's throne. So you're essentially trying to take control of Jabba's empire, though during the time the game is set it will be Boba Fortuna's and then Boba Fett's. It just depends on when specifically it's set, as we know it's set during the time of the Mandalorian, which is pretty vague. I'd also really like to see a Dune Sea map with a working Sarlacc pit. We already have a Dune Sea outpost map for control and a Sandy Ridge map for Huttball, but I really do think a Sarlacc pit could work really well inside a map, so something that includes that would be awesome. As for Endor, we have an Ewok village map and the General Forest, so the only other map I'd truly be keen to see is something that takes place on or around an Imperial landing platform like the one Luke meets Vader on. Finally, for the maps, it would be great to get some for the Death Star too, though we don't really get to see much of it. So I'd love to see a map in the Emperor's throne room, then perhaps we could have an escort map that starts from the throne room and ends in a slowly destroying hangar bay, inspired by Luke taking Vader from the throne room to the Lambda shuttle. Moving on to the Hunters now, there are two I'd absolutely love to see from this film. Firstly, with it being Return of the Jedi and Endor featuring a number of times in the game already, you can't not add an Ewok Hunter to the game. It would honestly be the perfect addition, and as to how they'd work, well, I'd probably have them very similar to those in Battlefront 2, as I think they work really well, and all of the abilities could work nicely in Hunters. The second one is less obvious, but I'd absolutely love to see a Gamorrean added to the game as a hunter, inspired by the guards in Jabba's palace. Now I have actually done a hunter concept for a Gamorrean guard, so if you want to check it out then I'll post the link in the description for you. Finally, we have some skins, as there are no game modes that I can think of. Somewhat in order of appearance, I think it would be great to have a Boushh inspired skin for Mara of X. Now it doesn't have to be the exact same outfit of course, but something inspired by it would be really cool to see. Then I'd like to see a skin for J3DI inspired by Jedi Luke in his black outfit, which I think would contrast really nicely compared to his other skins. We then have quite a few for Zaina, with one inspired by Han just after he got out of the Carbonite, along with Lando in his general gear, an Endor Rebel Commando, and finally one inspired by Han's Endor outfit. I think I may have mentioned it in my episode 3 concept, but just in case I didn't, Reeve could get a skin inspired by the Emperor in his black robes. Sentinel could once again get some skins as well, this time inspired by the Scout Trooper and an AT-ST driver. Everything else that appears in the film I'm pretty sure I've mentioned in previous videos. And finally, Sprocket could get some skins inspired by the A-Wing and B-Wing and their respective pilots, as well as a skin inspired by his Mon Calamari brethren in the MC-80s. As a bonus, I would have included a skin for Slingshot inspired by the 74Z speeder bikes, but that skin is already on the way. So guys, that is it for this update concept. Next week I'll be moving on to episode 7, so despite the fact that it wouldn't have happened yet in the timeline, content could still be added to the game, so do stay tuned for that. Anyway guys, that is it from me today. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.